allegation that we have not been able to do coffee reforms. Mr. Speaker, out of my work, coordinating coffee reforms, the Cooperative Bill 2023 and the Coffee Bill 2023 is before this House. I request this House, after these impeachment proceedings, to embark on those two bills so that the coffee farmers can realize the full benefit of the coffee reforms that we have initiated. There is another allegation that I have taken control of a local cooperative society in Madeira constituency. I don't know the name of that constituency, of that cooperative. It is false. I am here to see any evidence. I have nothing to say because there is nothing to be said. On the issue of shareholding, which I think members are interested in listening to, I listened to you this morning and it was quite emotive. By virtue of provisions of the third schedule of the Political Parties Act, the constituent parties of the Kenya Kwanza coalition entered into various agreements which were deposited with the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate for purposes of Article 108 of the Constitution of Kenya. The following were members: UDA, ANC, Ford Kenya, PA, Farmers Party, Chama cha Kazi, Communist Party, Economic Freedom Party, Service Party, Tujibebe wa Kenya Party, Umoja na Maendeleo Party of Kenya, and the Democratic Party of Kenya. In accordance with the provision of Clause 3, Schedule 3, a power sharing agreement and development agenda for the certain regions of Kenya, I attach copies of these agreements, RG 32. All those agreements talked about specific regions. The leaders who appended their signatures canvassed issues of appointments to do with specific regions. Power sharing agreement between UDA and ANC and Ford Kenya, for example, say that the UDA would nominate the coalition president, the presidential and deputy presidential candidates that was honored. The president would guarantee the stature, the dignity, and financial and operational autonomy of the office of the deputy president, which I have been insisting on because it's part of the coalition agreement. The ANC would be allocated the position of the prime cabinet secretary, which has happened. Ford Kenya would be allocated the position of the Speaker of the National Assembly, and that is why Honorable Masika Wetangula sits here today. In accordance with Article 2 of the Power Sharing Agreement, ANC at Ford Kenya would have a 30% share is a word, of the national government positions. This drives my utterances about shareholding. It is embedded in all these agreements that are attached here for you to read. I heard this morning an honorable member saying that the deputy president said the people of Ukambani will not get resources because they did not vote for Kenya Kwanza government. That is not true. The deputy president of the Republic of Kenya does not allocate resources. Resources for the development of the Republic of Kenya are appropriated by the National Assembly of Kenya, where I am today. The deputy president will help the president to oversee the implementation of funds allocated and appropriated by the National Assembly. It is therefore not possible that the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya has the capacity to deny any part of Kenya resources because of the way they voted. The decisions are made here by the honorable members. If your area has no development, please don't impeach the deputy president. Don't accuse him of not giving you resources. You are in this house to make sure that your area where you come from is allocated appropriate resources, because that is your job. The agreements are attached. Therefore, I don't want to go into them. Let me say my speeches on the shareholder issue were informed by the aforesaid power sharing covenants, which are founded on law, having been deposited with the registrar of political parties and lesson in all democracies in the world that provide for the formation. My pronouncements on the issue, properly understood, are not only anchored in law, but entirely harmless, and incapable of being construed as a basis for ethnic animosity, a danger to national cohesion or a threat to national unity. On the contrary, coalition building has been one of the most important innovations since the disputed 2007 elections in ensuring stability, equitable sharing of political power, national cohesion, and fostering of national unity. Indeed, Kenya Kwanza main opponent in 2022 general election, Azimio la Umoja Coalition, One Kenya Coalition Party, was a political party consisting of 25 political parties, executed a power sharing agreement that executed a 50-50 power sharing agreement between TNA party and URP party for 2013 general election. I have thus not violated section 13(1)(a) and 62 of the National Cohesion Integration, nor has this commission summoned me to explain any of my comments and how it can affect cohesion. However, notwithstanding the said power share agreement, upon election as Deputy President, I went out of my way, as required by the Constitution of Kenya, to serve all Kenyans regardless of political preferences during the election or ethnic origin. I now produce the following. Video showing some of my speeches all over the country as marked RG Video 7. We want to confirm to the people of Nyanza that the Ruto administration will serve all Kenyans, those who elected us and those who did not. Kenya hii kila mtu afanyiwe kazi, kwa sababu kila mtu analipa kodi. Mimi sikusema Kenya ni ya shida. Nilisema serikali, nikiunda serikali. Wale wanakusaidia. Unatakiwa uweke wengi wale walikuamini na wale walielewa manifesto yako. Mimi nimetembea Kenya. Mnasema nilikuwa Mombasa, ya bwana mlima. Nilikuwa Wajia, ya bwana mlima. Nilikuwa Garissa, ya bwana mlima. Nilikuwa Mount Elgon. Kericho nimekuja Maine. Conference ya chai tulikuwa na nyinyi, niliweka Kericho. For now, kazi yetu ni maendeleo. Tutafanya kazi na viongozi wote, akuwe wa chama ile, akuwe wa chama hii, we don't care. This is the time to serve the people of Kenya, and we shall work with all elected leaders, irrespective of their political affiliation. Mr. Speaker, copies of documents demonstrating my efforts within the mandate allocated to me by the President to address security issues and economic equalization programs and policy in historically marginalized areas is Annex RG33. The decision to embrace the broad-based government following the dissolution of cabinet after the Gen Z protest. I attached my video during the launch of the Honorable Raila Odinga's quest for EU chairmanship at State House, again as a demonstration of my embracing the broad-based government. Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Government present, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners and members of the Diplomatic Corps, Heads of Delegations, Members of Parliament and all dignitaries present, good morning. Your Excellency, let me say this is a great moment for our country. What a day, what a moment. We are here, Your Excellency, as a country to unveil Kenya's finest to go and lead Africa. It's a proud moment for this country. And I want to say, Your Excellency, the people of Kenya have been united to a man
by the candidature of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to be the chairperson of the African Union Commission. This is a quest that has brought pride to our nation. And I would like to tell the leaders here from Africa and the representatives that as a country, as we present the Honorable Raila Odinga to be our candidate, it is because Africa, our motherland, deserves the best. The passion and zeal of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in Pan-Africanism is well documented. Passion knows no age, knows no limit. In the person of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, he'll join the ranks of Jomo Kenyatta and Kwame Nkrumah in pushing the agenda for Africa. I therefore want to say, Your Excellency, the lessons of today are that Raila Odinga, the Right Honorable, is a man of great resilience, endurance, and perseverance. Today, you are going to unveil the transformation of the Right Honorable Odinga from a national leader to an African statesman. And for us in leadership, we have learned great lessons of resilience, endurance, and perseverance. Somebody may ask, why is Gachagua, who has before had issues with the leadership of Raila Odinga? As a truthful man, I had nothing against him. It's only that we were competing for the same position between him and my boss. Now that he is going for a bigger seat in Africa, all of us, from the president, I, and the rest of Kenya, are behind him. And the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, as a man who listens to the ground, let me confirm to you, I've listened to the ground, and all Kenyans across the political divide, across communities, are in support of your candidature, and we wish you well. Before I call Your Excellency, let me acknowledge the place of family, not just in our lives, but in leadership. I think it is a great moment for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. It's appropriate that I acknowledge on behalf of the country the role Mama Ida Odinga has played in the life of this great son of this land. Mama Ida Odinga, we salute you as a country for having been a very strong pillar to your husband in very difficult times, and his lowest moments you have always been there for him. We ask families to support their spouses. So Mama Ida Odinga, as we wish you happy birthday, it is my hope and prayer that your next at Addis next year, and if you invite President William Ruto to come and he's not able to come, Mr. President, I'll be very happy for you to send me to represent you in that great basket. We therefore want to say it's a great moment. And the Right Honorable Odinga, I have noted with a lot of appreciation, my wife, Pastor Dorcas, who is a very prayerful woman, has been praying for me and the President daily. And I noted from yesterday she has added you in her prayer. And because her prayers work, we have no doubt that you will get this seat. Mr. President, it is now my honor to request you to come and anchor Kenya's finest and embark on the journey of transformation of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga from a national leader to a great African statesman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. President William Ruto has many times appreciated my people issues and has repeatedly pronounced himself. Let me have the video number 9.
And speaking of deputies, you have in the last few weeks named Mr. Gachagua as your deputy. There's been quite a debate, and I'm sure you know that, around running mates in this country. Perhaps this would be a great time to shed light on why you settled on this gentleman.
Gachagua is somebody I have known. Gachagua is a very passionate leader. Gachagua is a people's person. He speaks about the things that I speak about. He speaks about ordinary people. He's concerned about matters to do with farmers. He's concerned about the things that are dear to ordinary Kenyans. And the nexus between me and Gachagua is the people. He believes in bottom up the way I do. And that is why I chose Gachagua to work with me.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of deputies,
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In addition, and almost in conclusion, I am not the only leader at the national level who has encouraged unity among Kenyans based on shared regional, geographical, and economic and other factors. I have attached several articles. Luya unity is not optional, Moses Wetangula. Ruto puts case for Gema Kalenjin unity. Bijikenda unity in the offing. Masai leaders in unity talks ahead of next year's general election. I have attached those articles so that you understand that regions uniting does not mean they unite against other regions. They unite for common issues, common values, and to strengthen them to join other regions for national unity. Mr. Speaker, the motion dated 26 September 2024, tabled before the National Assembly, makes the generalized claims that have committed crimes under national laws, Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, Penal Code, National Cohesion and Integration Act as anti-corruption and economic crimes. It is on the basis of the claim that it is said that the threshold of impeachment has been met. I'm not aware of any active investigations by any state agency for offenses under the said laws, neither have I been called upon to record any step pertaining to any investigation. Just like any other Kenyan, the Constitution accords me the presumption of innocence in relation to criminal offenses until the contrary is proved in a court of law on a specific standard of evidence. Therefore, in the absence of any active investigations by any investigative agency in Kenya, I do not believe that there can be any serious reason to believe that I've committed any offense. Otherwise, that will be an indictment of the intelligence agencies as well as investigative agencies. Therefore, it is inconceivable that the threshold of the impeachment motion as defined in Article 145 of the Constitution can solely be based on the perception of the mover of the motion in the absence of any other evidence. I heard the mover this morning saying that all we need to do is to believe in him. I believe that cannot be the position. We need actual evidence against the Deputy President. The net effect of the impeachment of this basis of allegations of criminal offenses, whose evidence has not been tried and tested in court of law or by bodies mandated to investigate, would be to disqualify me from the possibility of holding public office in relation to Article 99(3) without the benefit of due process of law and exhaustion of the systems of appeal as provided in the Penal Code. Mr. Speaker, I do not wish to respond to the issues I had this morning that are outside the motion. I want to confirm that I have tremendous respect for Kenyan women, and I have never disrespected them, call upon anybody with evidence that I have ever disrespected that person to come out and provide that evidence. I had my very great friend, the Honorable Faith Getau, say that I disrespect women. Many times I've been to Nyandarua, I've referred to Honorable Faith Getau as Ngatha. Ngatha is a Kikuyu name of great respect. That I have done countless times, is on video. Finally, the Honorable Bose Sholei, I heard what you said in Eldoret. I heard this morning that you said I should be charged with treason. Me, I'm a grateful man. I remember, and I'll never forget, during the last administration when I was arrested on fabricated charges for standing with the President William Ruto against the wish of the government at that time, Gladys Bosholai came and sat with me at DCI headquarters, brought me tea, brought me lunch, sat with me, comforted me. At court, she coordinated the collection of 12.5 billion shillings as my cash bail. She came to see me in Gigiri for 4 days and had very kind words for me. Despite what you have said, my sister, I do remember that one good thing that you did for me, and I'll love you and cherish you for the rest of my life. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, I want to appeal to this Honorable House to consider the allegations against me by the mover of the motion, weigh it against the attached evidence, weigh it against my defense and the attachments and the videos that I've played in this house. And exercise your mind and exercise your discretion. Search your conscience and decide if Rigathi Gachagua is guilty of any of those allegations or is undergoing a political process. If you are so persuaded and you search your conscience without any intimidation or coercion or inducement, and you think it's the right thing to do, please go ahead and do so. If you search your conscience and listen to the issues that have been adduced here, and you find that there are no grounds to impeach the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, please make the right decision. But as you do so, many members who are in this house remember what President William Ruto as Deputy President went through. And most of us stood with him. Rigathi Gachagua underwent 4 years of persecution. Others were persecuted. But we took a firm stand because we believed we were doing the right thing. His family underwent humiliation. His friends underwent humiliation. He was a haunted man. And on Inauguration Day, he pronounced himself that freedom is here. Again, under the new administration, the same Rigathi Gachagua, who underwent humiliation and persecution, finds himself in the same space under that administration that he fought for. Try, look, reflect, and apply your conscience and make the right decision. Mr. Speaker of the House, I want to thank you for granting me this opportunity. And my address last night was not in any way meant to disrespect the House. Despite, Mr. Speaker, you having ruled that the matter should not be taken out of the House, it was being discussed in every TV station, in every meeting across Kenya. And Kenyans did not have a chance to also hear my side of the story. So I decided, since the accusations against me were everywhere in the country, the people of Kenya, and more so those who voted for me and President William Ruto, deserved also to hear my side of the story. I have tremendous respect to for the National Assembly and your ability and capacity to make the right decision. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Thank you very much, Deputy President. I'm sure your fears that you will not be heard fairly have been allayed. You've been heard in absolute silence. You've been heard with total decorum from the House. And members, I salute you for the display of your legislative maturity in giving an opportunity to a subject to a motion in the person of the Deputy President to be heard. What is it, Rosa? The proceedings are still going on. Who is praying? Yes, Senior Counsel. These proceedings are still going on.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Speaker, this is a House of Record, and I had wanted to rise under Standing Orders 65, 67A, and 67B. Two of those points you've already covered, Mr. Speaker. It is important that the record reflects that although the standing orders do not require that we listen to the witness in silence, indeed we did.
Yes, absolutely.
Secondly, that there was compliance with the Standing Order 67B2 in giving the witness a maximum of 2 hours. But there's a third one, Mr. Speaker, which I think should go on record. Standing Order 67A also requires that the witness be entitled to appear in person or with counsel. I see that the witness has appeared with at least 3 counsel, all of whose names should come on record, so that the record shows that counsel were actually allowed to the chamber. I see my friend Advocate Ongoya, my friend Advocate Njehu, so that there is no incompleteness of the record. I beg, Mr. Speaker.
That is a fair comment. Counsel for the Deputy President, without making any unhelpful speeches, just put your names on record. I'm sure you have a team leader. The team leader will introduce himself and introduce his accompanying colleagues. Ongaya.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you so much, honorable members. The team representing the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President in these proceedings, is as follows. Honorable Paul Kibugi Muite, Senior Counsel, Mr. Victor Swanya Ogeto, my name is Elisha Ongoya, Mr. George Sakimpa, Mr. Ndegwa Njiru, Mr. George Wandati, Miss Faith Waigwa, Mr. Murigi Kamande, Mr. Amos Kisilu, Mr. Eric Kiprop Naibei, Miss Julia Omwamba, Mr. Tom Maina Masharia, Mr. Willis Echesa, and Mr. Andrew Moga. And that is all.
Thank you. And apart from the 3 of you, the rest are within the precincts of Parliament?
Are within the precincts of Parliament, save for Senior Counsel Paul Kibugi Muite, who sought to be excused from attending today, but is part of this team, and we are under his supervision and guidance.
Thank you. From here, we'll proceed as follows. Deputy President, if you wish to leave, you are at liberty to do so with your team. Na mwengi Yes, Kaluma.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our prayer at the end says that we always be fair to those who are committed to our church. And Honorable Speaker, in his address to the House this afternoon, the Deputy President appears to have referred to some documents. I know we are moving towards the end of this particular session in considering this matter. And Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for upholding Article 47 of the Constitution on the right to fairly and secure procedural fairness to every party as required by our Constitution. I wanted to ask Honorable Speaker that so that we consider what the Deputy President is saying in the documents, would I be in order to request the indulgence of the Speaker within the provisions of Standing Order number 1 to adjourn for at least 10 minutes so that we consider what the Deputy President's documents have and come back and make the decisions we need to make. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The request does not meet my favor. Where's Mutuse? Mutuse, you have 30 minutes to reply before I call the minority leader and the majority leader. Will you exhaust your 30 minutes or you want to share out to anybody? I got an indication that you wanted to share 10 minutes to Kaluma. Pardon? I know. I am organizing the process. He's not going to be... I'm aware, Robert.
Mr. Speaker, I will share 10 minutes to senior learned friend Mr. Peter Kaluma, 5 minutes to Deputy Majority Leader, who was my seconder, and I will utilize the rest, which is 15 minutes.
Yes. Honorable Mutuse, only you has the right to a second bite to the motion. Your seconder has no right to a second bite. So if you have extra minutes, as I call the minority and majority leader, Kaluma will have 10 minutes if you want to donate to anybody else, but not Owen Bayer. Minority leader, now it's your time. You have 15 minutes.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for according me this opportunity. From the onset, Honorable Speaker, the minority supports the motion on removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua because, Mr. Speaker, he is unfit to hold office. In Kenya, and yesterday it was clear to all Kenyans to see for themselves the danger this country is in, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the impeachment of the Deputy President is not merely a procedural step. Rather, it's a reflection of our commitment to accountability and the rule of law in this country, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the integrity of government and the stability of our nation is at stake, Mr. Speaker, as we speak this afternoon in this house, this evening, Mr. Speaker. National security is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the economy is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the DP, since he assumed office, we have witnessed nothing but abuse of power, discrimination against communities, insubordination, as well as actions that are unethical, illegal, and that severely breach public trust as contained in the motion by Honorable Mutuse, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in supporting the removal of the Deputy President from office, we are rejecting the invitation by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua to accept tribal bigotry, Mr. Speaker, skilled resource allocation, and the exploitation and domination of minorities as fait accompli in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I move forward, or before I go on with what I wanted to say on the motion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this chance first to respond to some of the issues that he has raised in the House a few minutes ago, or his responses, Mr. Speaker. In the first place, his response has come very late today to the House, Mr. Speaker. He tabled his response at 4 p.m. in the evening today, Mr. Speaker, and he should have done it either yesterday evening or this morning, Mr. Speaker, so that the House can get enough time to peruse what he has said, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the grounds that is being accused that Mr. Gachagua for impeachment, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of what he calls shareholding, Mr. Speaker. He has said Kenya is a company with shareholding. But in his response, he comes here and tells the House that he did not mean that. What he meant is that he was talking about political parties, Mr. Speaker, and listed the political parties that have formed coalitions within Kenya Kwanza, Mr. Speaker, including Ford Kenya, ANC, PA, and all other parties that have formed what is called the Kenya Kwanza coalition, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to contradict what he's saying. What he said by saying that political parties are national in nature. Ford Kenya is a national party. ANC is a national party. All the political parties that formed a coalition with Kenya Kwanza are political parties that are national, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this country, under the Constitution, you are not allowed to form a tribal party. You are not allowed to form a religious political party, Mr. Speaker. You are not allowed to form a Mulima political party, Mr. Speaker. That is very clear in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. And if the Deputy President is not aware of that, I can read out for him, Mster Speaker. Under Article, Mr. Speaker, 91